Welcome to the Sooners360 Recruiting Podcast, a podcast for OU recruiting fans by Sooners360. Each week we catch you up on the latest in OU recruiting news and provide opinions and evaluations on all things OU football recruiting. I'm Chris Mason, lead recruiting analyst for Sooners360. This is a very special episode where I have the pleasure of interviewing OU's 2026 commit at quarterback, Jaden O'Neal.
Yep.
Jaden, thanks so much for joining us. We really appreciate you giving us the opportunity to talk to you today.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me today. It means a lot.
So, Jaden, I'm just going to start with a real general specific question that I've asked every recruit I've talked to. So we'll just get it out of the way with. So just a little background on you. We can see from Twitter and their various recruiting sites that your profile is listed at like 6'3", 200. You maybe look bigger than that in some of the photos I've seen from Norman lately. Is that about accurate?
About accurate. I got 15 more pounds, 215 right now.
Okay, you're 215.
Yes,
all right,
yes,
that makes sense to me. And just because everyone always asks, the last time you had a recorded 40 time, what do you think that might be?
I think it was like a 4.75, 4.8, something like that.
That makes sense. All right, just down that silliness out of the way with. All right. So Jaden, I know that you've received something like 20 offers plus from big-time schools around the country. But when do you think you first realized that playing college football was going to be a real possibility for you? Was it an offer or was it a game where you played?
It was more so, yeah, it was more so just like it was a certain point in time where I felt like just my development, at a young age, I was able to kind of see like me kind of separate myself. I don't think it was an offer that really made me think I could play at the next level. Just watching like people like when I was younger, I feel like I could see myself playing.
Okay. So to jump ahead to kind of recent events, your performance at the recent Navy All-American Combine, I feel like kind of reintroduced you to the national recruiting scene. You went head to head with number one player quarterback Faison Braydon. Who were some of the national players at that event that impressed you?
Bunchy Young. My boy Chance Thomas, Hayden Vercher impressed me as well. Won a best tight end award. Ernest Lunley, he was mentioned in the top 10 first team defense DB. Neiman Lawrence, 28 quarterback as well. I would just like to name a few.
Okay, because I really feel like with the issues you had last year with the team suspension, the weirdness with that, you kind of fell off the radar a little bit because you weren't playing every week. And I feel like people sort of rediscovered you in San Antonio. It's like, oh, Jaden O'Neal is a serious quarterback. And, all OU fans were like, yeah, we've known that. And then when you sort of took beat Faison for the QB MVP trophy, I think it was sort of like, oh, okay. Who is this guy again? It's like, well, we've known all about him. So after that, then you went ahead and did the Miami 7-on-7 tournament. So a similar question: who were some of the players that you enjoyed seeing there, or that impressed you at the Miami event?
Jabari Brady, Caden Dixon-Wyatt. It's a wide receiver on my team, also named Faison. I think he's a Notre Dame commit.
Right.
Eric, he's a 28 All-American as well. I think he's a freshman, about to be a sophomore. Tristan Keys, he was good as well. He was out there.
The Mississippi wide receiver?
Yeah, Mississippi, yeah. Big time player. He was out there with West, yeah.
So you guys lost in the semis in overtime, right?
Yes, sir. Lost to Tucson Turf.
Was that a tough loss, or was it real tight?
It was a tight game. I mean, we lost in overtime, so
yeah, that's true.
That team has been, one of the top teams as well, throughout the year. So it was good to, finally, go get some competition.
Was it a case where you weren't able to get the ball last to win, or was it, you know what I'm saying? Was it like they got the ball and you never got a chance to?
No, we had got the ball, but we had like I think they had got us like in the red zone twice.
Okay.
So and then, like they ended up getting the ball and they scored, I think, the first or second play.
Okay. All right. So coming off to those two events, what do you think you were able to display as sort of your biggest strength right now playing quarterback?
Just my accuracy and kind of just my arm strength to get certain balls in certain windows. So those just like two to name.
Okay. And was there one area you sort of felt like you needed to work on to improve a little bit coming out of the two events?
Probably just my escapability, because like when they're able to blitz like at the line of scrimmage, like not being blocked, you don't have that second to like kind of react. It's just like, especially like when they're trying to touch you, like tackle is a little different. I can maybe stiff arm or try to like shrug my way out of it like the tackle, but just probably like that, just adjust to that compared to like tackle, not a 7-on-7.
Okay. It's a very strong quarterback class for 2026. Faison Braden, Jared Curtis, Rahab Bell, Kezian Henderson has obviously made a big move. But just my opinion, I think you're in that discussion for 5-star, top 5 QB based upon all the film I've watched and all the feedback I've gotten. Usually Elite 11 plays a big role in some of those final kind of ranking things, maybe more than it should. But do you already have a plan on which Elite 11 regional that you're going to attend?
I'll be attending the Los Angeles Elite 11 regional.
Okay.
So yeah, signed up for that. So I'm heading to that.
Okay, great. So you just got back from Norman, and you had a big junior day. Saw you all over social media. So who were some of the recruits that you met for the first time that you just kind of really enjoyed hanging out with?
Not for the first time, but I was able to hang around Caden Jones and Mason James. Those are like some of my guys, and also came across my one of the guys that just committed, Daniel Jones. I mean, I said Daniel Jones, Daniel Odom.
Yeah, I was about to get to him. So, but yeah,
Daniel Odom, Tabari Brady. He's on my team as well. So those just to name a few.
Okay. Yeah, Caden Jones. It's funny for me because I've been following OU recruiting for so long. I remember his dad, Kawan, because his dad, Kawan Jones, was a running back for OU in the early 2000s. So it's funny seeing Caden being recruited. It just makes me feel a little too old because I'm seeing the sons of players that I was tracking in recruiting back then. So now I'm seeing their kids, and it's just, I'm like, okay, that makes me feel a little old that Kawan Jones' kid is now a big time recruit at Jenks as well, because that's where his dad played. And I remember trying to track his old highlights back in the day, back in the early 2000s. We didn't have Huddle, so it wasn't easy to pull up a kid's highlights and like look at them. You had to wait until after the signing day class, and you'd get like a DVD of highlights of kids.
Yeah.
So it was kind of crazy. But watching Caden Jones's highlights, I'm just like, well, he's obviously got some of that running back like inherited skills from his dad, but he's a taller leader guy. Like his dad is like 5'9", maybe that's generous, like 200 pounds. It was kind of like a smaller back, but Caden's kind of a bigger leader guy. So it's kind of interesting. And obviously Mason James from Norman North, he had a huge playoff run, and watching his highlights, and it's great. And obviously, I've been following OU recruiting so long. Mason James OU had a great wide receiver called Ryan Broyles, who would have won a Biletnikoff if he hadn't got hurt. But he was from Norman North, and he's about the same size as Mason. So I'm having kind of a flashback again with him, like seeing his highlights and his big plays, because Ryan Broyles was part of those Sam Bradford, Jermaine Grisham, Trent Williams teams that OU had that were successful. So, all right. So I was going to ask about Daniel Odom because I didn't really know much about him. So you obviously committed to OU. I was kind of surprised by that. Very happy. I think you've known Daniel for a while. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. I've been knowing him since youth. So
okay,
I just like to see him, have the potential chance of playing with me at OU.
So, what is OU getting in a wide receiver? What do you think OU's getting from Daniel Odom in terms of a wide receiver?
Honestly, like they're getting, a wide receiver that can stretch the ball down the field, Huge catch radius. Yeah, everything. Like his arms are very long, so like that catch radius, you could throw the ball anywhere. He most likely like come down with it. He's like very emotional, so he puts a lot of emotion like into the game. Always tries to work. He uses his emotions to fuel him. Throughout the game. So one of those kids that's just all about ball, which I love.
Yeah, I hadn't watched his highlights too much because he's a new name for me at wide receiver, and then I watched him after the commit, and I'm like, well, he's at St. John Bosco, so he's playing like an elite schedule. We know
For
that,
sure.
and he's making some big time plays against Division I DBs. There's a couple of catches. I was like, wow, that's good coverage, and he's just making a great play. So I was like, yeah, this. OU fans will be definitely happy about that. So the other name you mentioned, both at Miami and visiting Norman recently, is obviously another new name for me in recruiting, is Jabari Brady. I had to laugh, Jade, when I saw his photo posted where he was with Coach Venables in his office.
Sure.
He looked like a defensive end. He looked so big.
Yeah, that kid is huge.
I mean, I put the photo up to some of my OU friends, and I'm like, that guy's a wide receiver. They're like, no. He's got to be like a rush end or big time linebacker. I'm like, no, that kid's a wide receiver. So Jabari, it seems like Jabari's bigger than like 6'2", 200 that I see him listed at, right?
That's like 6'4".
Yeah, he looks huge. And I watched some of his highlights both at the 7-on-7 and his junior year stuff, but he just seems like for a big guy, he's sometimes big receivers, you sometimes hear they're kind of they're a little lumbering or they're not like super coordinated just because they're just kind of growing in their bodies yet. But he looks big and he looks really athletic.
For sure. Yes, sir. I thought him at South Florida Express, so kind of like already like building like that connection.
Yeah, I mean it seemed like with Odom and Mason James and possibly Brady. I mean, are you kind of making sure your wide receiver room is potentially going to be stacked wherever you go?
I'm just trying to make sure I got guys I can throw the ball to. I'm a pass first kind of guy, so I want to make sure I put the balls, into their hands, because I know they're gonna come down with it.
Yeah, if I was putting a wide receiver threesome like out there and like 3 wide receiver, 3 wides, tight end, and a running back, I don't know that I could come up with 3 guys that would be a better fit out in the field together. I mean, with the because Mason James plays a lot of slot, looks like almost a perfect slot receiver, and then you'd have that would be 2 serious flankers with Brady and Odom there. So I kind of commend you on your choices there. It's a nice little group of guys to focus on.
Sorry.
So this was obviously your first time meeting new OU offensive coordinator Ben Arbuckle. How was that interaction? How was that interaction?
Interaction's been good. Somebody who I could relate to. Recently saw me out here for a workout. So, just be able to kind of talk with him for a little bit. Just kind of communicating, just seeing who he's been able to develop, in the recent years. It's definitely something I was like kind of keen on, just like that the development part, at OU, the guys that he brings in, I know they're gonna get developed, just because he knows the game, and he knows how to put guys in the best position, and he knows how to kind of play to their strengths and weaknesses, which I love. So very good interaction.
Do you have a sense of what the new Sooner offense is going to look like?
Like a phrase to say, or just kind of describe it.
Well, just describe it in your if you can, just briefly.
I'll probably say like explosive, like really explosive. It's not like the typical wide split. Of course, they have like a little bit of packages in that, but they have certain motions. They know how to set up a run with a pass. So I feel like I'll just say very versatile. Actually, versatile.
Okay, great. It looks like from social media, you had a chance to meet John Mateer.
Yes, sir. Got a chance to meet him.
Any quick impressions of him, other than the fact you're taller than him?
Thank you. Very humble, down to earth, just kind of hardworking. He just puts his head down and just works hard.
Great, great. Just a more generic question for you. Um, are you currently right now planning on enrolling early at OU?
Yeah, I plan on enrolling around like December time. I think it's December 17th or whenever like that early period is.
Okay. Do you have an idea of what your college major might be?
Sports marketing. I want to like after the game be able to market other players.
Okay, great. I don't. I ask that question, and sometimes I didn't know what my major was going to be when I was your age. So I'm
Gotcha.
always find it funny that I asked that question, and and you guys always have most of you guys always have well put together answer. So that's great. So I've had a hard time when folks ask me coming up with a high ceiling comp for you. But it's something like a shorter, more mobile Byron Leftwich, if you remember that quarterback, or if you don't, that's
I remember, wasn't he the coach with the Buccaneers?
yeah. But he was when he played at Marshall, and he like threw for like 1 billion yards.
Gotcha.
And he's like 6'6", like 250.
Gotcha.
But it's his cannon of an arm that's kind of why I lean that direction. But is there a current quarterback that you kind of like enjoy watching or model your game after?
CJ Stroud, like I said, like Cam Ward and like Shadir Sanders. Just
Okay.
do the name.
All right. I'm not sure if you watch the NFL that much, but I just struck me last that it was last weekend, and you had four very young, different quarterbacks playing in the semis, right? You had Jalen Hurts, Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, and I'm fumbling here. Oh, sorry, Jaden Daniels. Um, uh, are there any attributes you would like to steal from those quarterbacks if you've had a chance to watch them? Anything that you watched them play and you're like, yeah, I'd like to pick up some of that.
Patrick Mahomes, pocket awareness. I feel like he has one of the best pocket awareness and pocket mobility I've ever seen personally. Just his awareness is out like through the roof. So probably something I'll probably want to steal.
Okay. You with your frame, you could do the Jalen Hurts, 6'3", almost a fullback, the tush, I think you could almost be that quarterback, but I think you got a little more arm talent than Jalen. So, but when I see your size, I'm just like, oh, he could easily be like the Jalen Hurts, just get behind me and shove me over the goal line kind of play. I could see you getting away with that. So, just some general questions, just to kind of get you to know you a little better, give some OU fans a little off the football view a little bit. Or there's a football question in there now that I think about it. Is there a non-football pro athlete that you enjoy watching or look up to?
You said non-pro?
Well, non-football, like
Not non-football.
hoops, baseball, soccer.
LeBron,
Anything.
LeBron James.
Okay. I'll have to ask this question: has football always been your primary sport? Because with your arm, I got to think like a baseball coach has at some point said, hey, Jaden, don't you want to pitch?
Nah, I ain't never. Not really baseball. It's really just been football like my whole life.
Okay,
That's been it. Yeah.
that's surprising because because your arm talent's pretty. I mean, it jumps off the screen when you watch highlights of you. So I was just wondering if maybe at some point there was a baseball coach saying like, hey, watching you throw the football was like, hey, shouldn't you be trying that off a pitcher's mound? So all right,
appreciate that, Kyle.
Yeah. So do you have a favorite guilty pleasure fast food?
I'd say more like a combination of food. Like you gotta put like if you could just get you like a bag of chips and then get you some nacho cheese, just swish it around a little bit and got you some nachos, something like that.
Okay, so nothing from like In-N-Out Burger, like a guilty pleasure? You have a
Actually, not actually In-N-Out, because we do have In-N-Out here. I'll say In-N-Out because I've been craving that for a little bit. I haven't had it in a while, but I'll say In-N-Out. In-N-Out.
Do you have a go-to In-N-Out order?
Yeah, go get like a double. Keep everything just no onions for me, and then get you a animal fry, and then just get you like a bunch of sauce package, I mean, just sauce that thing down and then shoot, get you some Sprite.
Okay. All right. Great. Do you have a favorite streaming show, TV show, or anime? Just something that's kind of your obsession, or something you got to just always make sure anything you're watching right now that you really like?
Shoot, I just got done. Watching. Shoot, it's like a lot of anime. I'm watching right now. It's called Rising Impact. It's like a golf anime.
Okay.
Yeah, I like golf. But it's that, and then you got Yu Yu Hakusho. I finished like Naruto a while ago, and then Stranger Things. I waited for that to like come out.
Waiting for waiting for the final season of that.
Yeah, I can't wait for the final season. So
yeah, my wife's obsessed with that show, so she's constantly asking me when that new Netflix season is coming out. So
yes,
my favorite anime is kind of old school. It's just Dragon Ball Z. I used to watch that. Used to watch that when I got off work. Like I used to work nights. I'd come off, and Toonami, the old Cartoon Network, when they first had it, would have it on at late night. And I'd watch a couple of episodes of that before going to bed. So
yeah, the animation was good back in the day. So
yeah, and My Hero Academia is kind of the most modern thing I'm kind of obsessed about. So
it's cool.
Love that. All right, great. All right, I'm sure I'm not going to know the person, but I got to ask the question anyway because my music tastes are obviously older and stuck in olden times. But what's your current favorite musical artist? What's currently number one sort of on a playlist for you?
Maxwell, Erykah Badu.
Okay.
And then Music Soul Child. That's just R&B.
Okay. Well, great. Well, Jaden, thanks so much for taking the time to talk to me. I really appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
I know you're really busy and you've been flying around everywhere and getting places. So I appreciate you taking a quick time to talk to me. And good luck with everything coming up. Good luck with Elite 11.
Yes, sir. Appreciate that.
And I know I'll be stunned if I'm not going to be able to watch you in the Elite 11 stuff on ESPN coming up. So, watching you throw the ball again in San Antonio with all those highlights, I was like, okay, that's what I remember from your summer camp session. A lot of that film when you were in Norman.
Yes, sir.
Got it online, and folks were kind of asking me, "What do you think?" I'm like, "Well, I think Godzilla just showed up in Tokyo," and folks, it just sort of because I know some people that were there, and they were like, "Well, Jaden showed up and just started, throwing the ball, and everyone just sort of like just stopped and watched because it was a little bit like, I mean, we've seen good arm talent in Norman before, right?
For sure, 100%. A lot of talent.
Baker. I was talking to somebody about interviewing you, and when I was at the Apple store getting a new piece of hardware, and I'm like, yeah, he's verbal to OU, and but he's a top quarterback, and they're like, oh, okay, and I'm like, they're like, does OU have good quarterbacks? I'm like, well, Kyler Murray's like, oh yeah, I'm like, well, OU, Jalen Hurts, they're like, oh yeah, I'm like, well, OU, I'm like, do you know Baker Mayfield? Oh yeah, well, OU, so, but that footage, I mean. I was kind of tracking your name before you got to Norman, and it was like, well, OU's in the running, but he's got a lot of schools, a lot of offers. I'm like, okay. Then, but when you threw in Norman, it was like, oh, okay, all right. That's something to really pay attention to. So when I was seeing you in San Antonio, I was like, okay, that's what I remember from the summer. That's the, because then I went back and watched your highlights. And I'm like, oh yeah, that's what I remember watching. So it's been great kind of tracking your stuff, over the last 7 months. So sorry, I'm getting long-winded there. Thanks again, and I really appreciate you, Jaden. And take care and good luck with everything.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me. Yes, sir.